Hey guys, Eric, Joshua, and Roth here in the wake of Marvel Phase 3 insanity.
It's Marvel Mania.
It's Marvel Mania. As they're announcing all these titles, we're all figuring, okay, it's aiming towards the Avengers 3 title announcement. And there was a twist, which is we got Avengers Infinity War Part 1 for May 4th, 2018. And then we got Avengers Infinity War Part 2 for May 3rd, 2019.
I love this. It's like, come and get me 2 times.
2 more Avengers movies announced today.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I know. It's so crazy. So let's talk first of all, like, why it's a huge story, right? Mm-hmm. But let's clarify what story we think they're actually doing.
Yeah, they're calling it Infinity War, which is a
Right.
comic book. It's actually part of like an Infinity trilogy, sort of.
Yeah, there
where
was
they
a
had
bunch
the
of
Infinity
miniseries.
Gauntlet story, then they had Infinity War, then they had Infinity Crusade.
Yep.
But from what we were speculating, all the Infinity Gems spread through all the movies, is that they're going to adapt the Infinity Gauntlet story, where Thanos gets the Infinity Gauntlet, does some crazy things, and has to team up and stop him. Infinity War is a much weirder kind of story involving like Adam Warlock.
Not as beloved
Yeah.
either.
Yeah, not as beloved. It's kind of weird. So we think they're just choosing the Infinity War storyline because that sounds much cooler.
It's just a better title, so we think probably like they've done previously is that they take a title and then they do some twists on it,
Sure,
right?
yeah.
Which doesn't mean that they won't borrow elements
Yeah.
from both stories
Yeah.
potentially.
And put their own.
And,
yeah.
and put their own twist on it. There's certainly been a lot of rumors about Adam Warlock. Some of them we started.
Right.
Yeah, so I have a question for you guys as far as like casting goes. 'Cause I know each actor is signed on for a certain amount of movies, and so this is 2 movies. Does this count as one, or will they show up in maybe just part 2?
Oh, no,
or...
it's 2 movies.
It's going to
It
count as
counts
2 movies.
movies.
Okay.
Yeah, anytime they've had to split, like when they've split movies after the fact, they've had to redo contracts. And that's the big question, right? Is because we know these actors signed on for a certain amount of movies, and Chris Evans specifically, we know, signed on for 6. And once he does Captain America 3, he'll only have 1 movie left.
Yeah, and he is also the one that's kind of been most honest and vocal about the fact that he's loved it. It's been great. Thank you very much. I want to move on to other things. So what we're speculating is that there's been a lot of rumors that the roster is going to be very different by the end of Avengers 2.
Yeah.
So that when we go into Avengers 3, the first movie will be a very, very different lineup than what we've seen before.
Right, okay.
Possibly some of these new characters.
Yeah, like we were saying, Black Panther, Doctor Strange, Captain Marvel, they could be part of the
Some of the
Avengers.
Guardians.
So, Guardians, and then of course they've introduced Quicksilver, Scarlet Witch, along with I think we'll have Hulk. We'll probably have Widow.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing
Because they're never getting their own movie.
and I'm guessing Iron Man, because we knew that last year Downey signed for Avengers 2 and 3.
Yeah.
But now that he's confirmed for Cap 3, I bet his deal also includes both those Infinity War movies.
Right,
Yeah.
I think he's probably going to be sort of the fulcrum. He's going to carry things throughout. Hulk will probably be there. I'm kidding. I don't know. He may get his own movie at some point. I really don't know.
Not during Phase
I still have my
3.
fingers
But not
crossed
during
for
Phase
Planet
3,
Hulk.
right?
Yeah.
Maybe one day when they run out of ideas.
Maybe, although Feige's pretty much said that they will not do Planet Hulk. But we'll table
never
that
say
for
never.
now.
Yeah.
Never say
Yeah,
never.
I mean-
What do they have left for Phase 4? But we'll table that for now and say that probably, and we've been speculating about this, right, that by the time you get to the second film, the threat is so big and so, because obviously they haven't won yet,
Yeah.
is so overwhelming that everybody's got to get in on
Yeah,
it, right?
everyone comes in, saves the day, and fulfills their final contract.
Yeah, because I think, you look at the titles of these new Thor and Cap movies, and they imply like a lot of bad things have happened.
Yeah.
A rift between Cap and Iron Man that maybe at the end of Cap 3 is like, I never want to see you again.
Yeah, so Civil Wars we're
Yeah.
talking about, and then like Thor Ragnarok, which
So
is pretty
he's-
much the end
Yeah, he's
of the
off,
world.
and maybe he's dead for now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Oh my
then
God, that'd be
something
so crazy.
happens. Yeah, Infinity War Part 2. We need everyone.
Right,
Yeah.
and there's a whole lot of warring going on. So you're right, there's going to be disconnect. There's going to be deaths.
Yeah.
There's going to be big losses.
And this is a cosmic level thing. I wouldn't
Yeah.
be surprised if the Guardians of the Galaxy show up.
Oh,
Yeah.
for sure they're going to show
Yeah.
up.
Oh my God.
Absolutely.
Wait for this, you guys.
I'm thinking maybe some Daredevil. I'm thinking
Yes.
maybe,
Because it feels like
big
what
group.
it's going to go is it's going to go from sort of an international crises maybe in Cap 3, and then it's going to be like an intergalactic
Yes.
crises in these 2 movies by the time that we get to them. I'm so excited.
Yes.
Are you guys excited?
Oh, amazing. And
pumped.
Very, very pumped. So yeah, final thoughts: Avengers: Infinity War Part 1 and Part 2. Do you mind that they're splitting that they're calling it the same name? Do you think it should be a different
that
title?
can get annoying because they've done that with like Harry Potter and Twilight,
Yeah.
and they're doing
Hobbit.
Hobbit. They're doing with Hunger Games. So, but for this, I'm like, bring it on! Like more the better. For a story this big, I think it deserves like what's essentially going to be one giant 5-hour movie.
Yeah, I think generally speaking, even if something is designed as a trilogy, I like each film to feel like its own self-contained film. But I kind of don't mind a ... in this one if that's what ends up happening, because I feel like it almost has to, because like I said, like at the end of this movie, you would win. And if you don't, that's a ...
Yeah.
You know, or the world is over.
And I think that because it's not based on a book, even though it's going to be influenced by these comics, we kind of know it's going to be their own story using that influence. So you don't feel like, oh, they're stretching this out. It's like, no, they're planning two freaking giant movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for plenty more, we're going to have so much to talk about, guys. For plenty more on all things Avengers, Infinity Wars, Infinity Gauntlets, and non-stop Marvel, keep it here at IGN.
Infinite Marvel.
Infinite Marvel.